WorldView Today. Unprecedented attack on U.S. Navy's USS Harry S. Truman in the Red Sea. Ladies and gentlemen, an unprecedented assault has just unfolded in the Red Sea. Not targeting Israel, nor a U.S. base, but the steel heart of the U.S. Navy. The aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman, a 100,000-ton symbol of American power. On May 17, 2025, in the turbulent waters where oil, geopolitics, and conflict converge, a rebel force dared the unthinkable. A direct attack on a U.S. aircraft carrier with a barrage of drones and ballistic missiles. This audacious move crossed the ultimate red line. As drones streaked through the sky like daggers, the world held its breath. Yet, astonishingly, not a single strike hit its mark. The USS Harry S. Truman sailed on, majestic and unscathed, as if untouched by the threat. Was this a declaration of war or a reckless test? And what would have happened if even one of those drones had breached America's iron shield? In today's program, WorldView Today will dissect the entire attack campaign, decode the formidable defensive armor of U.S. aircraft carriers, and expose Iran's covert role behind these low-cost yet highly calculated drone assaults. This is an asymmetric conflict between a superpower and militia forces, but could it ignite a regional war or signal an approaching nuclear confrontation? Stay with us as we unravel the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, Houthi forces have officially crossed the most dangerous red line in the global military balance. On May 17, 2025, as the USS Harry S. Truman, a 100,000-ton nuclear-powered behemoth, glided through the Red Sea, a nightmare scenario erupted. The target was not Israel, but the pinnacle of America's global might, its aircraft carrier. Suicide drones and ballistic missiles screamed toward the ship in an unprecedentedly bold attack. Yet, remarkably, not a single projectile touched the cold steel of the Truman. The U.S. Navy, with its sophisticated defense systems and meticulous preparation, neutralized every threat, drones and missiles alike, before they could endanger American forces. The notion that anyone could challenge Washington's dominance proved a fatal miscalculation. Within 48 hours, the Houthis faced not only defeat, but devastating U.S. counterstrikes. According to defense sources, the Truman's carrier strike group neutralized over a dozen drones mid-flight. A critical question emerges. What would happen if a single drone breached the air defenses? What trump cards does the U.S. Navy still hold? The game has only just begun. What really happened when the Houthis gambled everything against America's supercarrier? U.S. defense sources suggest the Houthi attack may have simply missed its target. A salvo of drones and ballistic missiles likely fell harmlessly into the sea over 100 meters from the USS Harry S. Truman. But the chilling reality is how close they came. The issue isn't the attack's failure, it's the potential for precision. If the Houthis had better guidance systems, if a missile had pierced the Navy's cutting-edge defenses, what then? We may not need to wait long for answers, as reports indicate the Truman faced additional attacks on June 1st and 2nd, 2025. The scenario is no longer if, but when. On the night of June 1st, the Truman's radar detected anomalous signals, a swarm of suspected drones or missiles approaching. Identified later as Iranian-designed Shahed-3 drones, with ranges of 1,100 to 1,800 kilometers, they barreled toward the carrier's defense perimeter. Under the command of Destroyer Squadron 50, a linchpin of the international Operation Prosperity Guardian, the Navy triggered a red alert. Advanced defense systems like Aegis, Phalanx, and high-frequency radar sprang into action. This wasn't just a skirmish. It was a stark warning to anyone daring to test America's resolve in the Red Sea, the planet's most volatile waterway. In the pitch-black night, Houthi drones crept toward the U.S. Navy's battle formation, aiming to penetrate as close as possible before striking. They weren't fast or stealthy, banking on darkness and radar interference to slip through. But their plan unraveled. The AN/SPIS-48 radar, with a 480-kilometer range, spotted the intruders. Backup systems like the AN/SPI-49 scanning over 320 kilometers, ensured nothing could sneak past the Navy's electronic eyes. As the Combat Information Center lit up, escort destroyers locked onto targets with Aegis systems. Phalanx Close-In Weapon Systems, CIWS, spun into action, shredding drones with 4,500 rounds per minute. Even if a drone had reached the Truman, its thick steel and hardened armor would have shrugged off anything less than a catastrophic hit. 4 scenarios consistently thwart serious damage to carriers like the Truman, which we'll analyze shortly. Each Houthi drone entered a kill zone around the USS Harry S. Truman, and each was obliterated. The clash between modern warfare technology and low-tech guerrilla tactics has never been clearer. One drone fell victim to electronic warfare, its navigation scrambled by a cruiser's jamming systems, veering hundreds of kilometers off course and crashing into the sea. Another flew low, skimming the waves to exploit radar blind spots, but the Truman's 3D radar, possibly the SPY-652, detected it miles out. The Phalanx CIWS, nicknamed CIWS, unleashed a torrent of fire, turning the drone into a fireball. Despite Houthi claims of deploying hundreds of drones, U.S. guided missile destroyers like USS Stout, DDG-55, and USS Jason Dunham, DDG-109, intercepted them with SM-2 missiles, each a death sentence from beyond the horizon. Should a drone miraculously breach all defenses, a second Phalanx system would unleash 20mm rounds like a storm, reducing it to smoke and debris. Spending millions on interceptors to protect a floating city like the USS Harry S. Truman is no folly. It's a necessity. Against high-speed ballistic missiles, SM-2 and SM-6 missiles are non-negotiable. But for slow, predictable drones, the Phalanx's 6-barreled Fury, 4,500 rounds per minute, is both cost-effective and devastating. This is how America plays tough and smart. Yet, the Houthis aren't alone. Iran, their backer, trainer, and weapons supplier, looms large. From Shahed-3 drones to Qasef-1 models, these weapons are designed to challenge the Truman's impregnable armor. But that armor has no cracks. The USS Harry S. Truman, a Nimitz-class Titan born in 1975, remains a cornerstone of U.S. naval power. However, the future lies with the Gerald R. Ford-class carriers. Unlike the Truman's steam catapults, the Ford's electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMALS, and advanced arresting gear, AAG, enable faster, smoother launches and recoveries, boosting sortie rates by 33%. Powered by 2 nuclear reactors generating double the electricity of Nimitz-class ships, the Ford supports futuristic weapons like railguns and lasers. Its radar and automated systems make it a mobile command center, untouchable even by Houthi drone swarms. On May 15, 2025, the U.S. escalated with widespread airstrikes in Yemen, retaliating against attacks on Israel and the Truman. The Houthis responded with dozens of drones and missiles over 48 hours, all failing to dent the carrier. The U.S. counteroffensive was surgical, targeting Houthi radar, missile launchers, and drone facilities. A cotton factory in Jabit, repurposed for explosives, was obliterated. The strikes aimed not just to punish, but to cripple Houthi military capacity. However, the Houthi-controlled Ministry of Health reported 59 deaths and 136 injuries, including women and children, sparking international concern over civilian casualties. The U.S. insists there's no gray area for aggression from Iran or its proxies. Yet, if precise airstrikes can't subdue the Houthis, a full-blown humanitarian crisis looms, one the U.S. will likely be tasked to resolve. The bigger question is whether America is targeting the right enemy. The Houthis are merely an extension of Tehran, Iran's nuclear ambitions, with the industrial capacity for bomb-making materials, set a ticking clock. If that threshold is crossed, all red lines collapse, forcing a U.S. military intervention that could echo the post-9/11 Middle East conflicts. The real challenge isn't stopping Houthi missiles, it's deciding whether to strike Iran before the timer runs out. That concludes today's program. Share your views, and if this is your first time with WorldView Today, please subscribe for more in-depth coverage.